I'm thrilled to have Ann Griesedieck here to talk about the American Mural Project. And it's been how many years since you started thinking this up? 10,
now,
20?
Well, we're going into the, it's very easy. We're going into the 17th year.
17th year.
2017.
And we're going to show you the project in just a second. It's enormous, and all 50 states are involved in it, and it's art, and it talks about America. But there was a concept for this, and we're going to show a first picture of what you saw and what you thought you could do someday in the state of Connecticut. What is this?
Well, when I first saw the Watts Towers, which is a giant city block in Watts devoted to Simon Rodia's Watts Towers. He was an immigrant. He came to this country and he wanted to thank this country for being welcomed and accepted. And he, by himself, just went out one day and started creating these circular hoops that became towers, and he would climb up and he'd be in a hammock, and he'd continue to go up and up and up. I mean, this guy had no real training, but he had some inert sense of what it was, to the geometry that was involved in going up, 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 and the stability that was required.
Which is kind of what you're doing.
Well, it's really, I would say there are some similarities, and the similarities really lie in that as he began to do this, he attracted the attention of all the kids that were in the neighborhood. And as they started seeing what he was doing, and he would jam all kinds of things into this concrete, and he'd just throw china, shards of china in bottles and everything. So they started bringing things and leaving them at his door. So he started putting those into the sculpture, if you will. And he continued and continued and continued for I don't know how many years. And these towers grew up, and he did walls around the towers with egg beaters and hammers and 7-Up bottles and everything, and these kids just kept piling the stuff up. So what was it? It was a collaboration. Yeah. Even though he was at the forefront of this thing, this really had to do with a lot of people coming together to celebrate what he was trying to honor in thanking America for being welcomed into the country.
Your mission statement for this giant mural that's going to go into a building, lots of people never thought you would get this done.
Okay.
What's the mission? What's the mission of this, if you had to give an elevator speech?
Well, the first thing is it's a tribute to people who work in this country. Our kids were growing up, they were in middle school, and I would come back from the West Side Highway, where I'd been 200 feet on a beam with Bob, an iron worker, and he was showing me how to weld steel. The guy's an artist. It's incredible what this guy was doing up there on these beams. Now, it's enough to say that it's pretty breathtaking to be walking a beam 200 feet in the air, but then to see the skill that's involved in what these guys do. And I'd come home and tell John and Judy, and they'd both look at me and say, you know, I got a Lincoln paper, I got to do this. And I'm like, boy, our kids are growing up and they have no idea. They don't look around at the roofer. They don't know what this carpenter's doing. They don't know why it is so wonderful to be in this country and all the different things that are around. So I said, wouldn't it be great to create something so big that people couldn't miss it? And it was at the same moment that I went out to Boeing to work on the painting of the fabrication at 747. And that space is so huge where they're building the 747s. And human scale, you're reduced to such a tiny thing when the airplane is cored and you see people working on 3 different levels. And I thought, how can I create this? How can I create what it's like to see the engine roll across the room 30 feet in the air, so that people get the sense of the excitement of what I'm seeing right now when 6 guys get on that and put that engine on the fuselage of the plane. And so I came back and I just introduced the idea to Sam, my husband, and I said, wouldn't this be cool to just create this giant piece of art that is about our country and the work we're doing? And Sam said, you're crazy, your paintings are already too big, think again. So I spent a year doing a study, and when I had all the pieces together, all the working places I'd been, I said, I'm just gonna try it out. And I never thought I would need help or I didn't even think about that.
You just thought you'd do it one day.
And then I thought, since John and Judy are at the heart of this, what about all these other kids in the country? And that's what started the projects, because I went, I'm going to get kids involved. I'm going to have them help me make this.
And as an artist, you got somebody involved who helped a lot, and that was the late Paul Newman, which is the next picture. Why and how did Paul Newman get involved in this?
Well, Paul was a longtime friend, mine and Sam's, my husband. Sam and Paul raced together. And when Paul was just learning how to race, he and Sam both drove Bob Sharp Datsuns, very Connecticut-based, and Paul would come up all the time to Lime Rock, and they raced all around the country, and we spent a lot of time together in campers at different races. And one day he said to me, "Oh, I'm getting sick of making this salad dressing in my basement." Hotch and I, who was his friend, great friend, said, I'm gonna bottle it. And I said, if you bottle it, I'll do the label. This was all a joke, you know. And he said, go out and get a price for 10,000 bottles. And I went, you're serious? And he goes, yeah. So I went, all right. And no one would touch it. They didn't want anything to do with it. It was too small. So my art guys printed the first labels, and I did the label of the first salad dressing. Which,
and the rest is history.
Yeah, the rest is history, for sure.
All right, so he gets involved because he gets your mission?
He used to come to the studio a lot, obviously. He'd visit our house. He and Joanne would come for a barbecue dinner, and he brought his kids. He brought his grandkids, and Lissy's two kids, Peter and Henry. I had a blast with them in the studio. And what happened was Paul started to see what I was doing with the kids, and because of his interest in helping young people, children, he was like really fascinated by the potential for this. And I think he felt that this was a really valuable moment in time for him to be, you know, supporting it.
Now, in 2006 or 2007, you recorded him talking about this project, which is terribly poignant to the world in which we live right now. Let's roll what he said.
It's amazing.
It seems to me as though there are too many walls in this country, too many separations between classes and politicians and stuff, and to have a wall of America that really exemplifies the aspirations, you know, of all Americans, I think is pretty witty and worthwhile.
Okay, so here we are in 2017.
And it was originally called the Wall of America, which is why he refers to it that way. And at the advice of many of our board members long ago, we thought, you know, wall's kind of negative. It's kind of funny to think of it now, isn't it? So the American Mural Project sprung out of the Wall of America. We're still called the Wall of America Foundation, but you know, it is kind of funny that he hit on something that is so
in the news
important.
These days.
Yes.
All right, let's start showing folks what this is all about. This huge installation is going to go here. And what is this building, Ellen?
The building on Whiting Street, 100 Whiting in Winstead, was an old factory. And this is another one of those things where Sam was tearing his hair out. I said, I don't want to have a Butler building. I want to put it in a place where work was done. And so we, you know, our selection had to be looking at mills in the Northeast, someplace where I could travel to this place and not be far from the kids who were growing up. And so we looked all around, and Winstead, Connecticut has some wonderful mill buildings, and these two buildings that our foundation purchased in 2006 are absolutely perfect, because one is going to house the mural, and the second one is going to be the visitor center, because everything that we are doing now on the project with kids, we must continue, so that every kid who comes to visit the American Mural Project when it's finished,
from around the globe,
they should get excited. They see that mural. It's going to be 5 stories high. They're going to be able to walk behind it. They're going to see it on 3 different levels. They're going to get so excited. What are they going to do about that? Get in a bus and go home? No, they got to go next door to the visitor center, and they've got to participate the same way all these kids, these 10,000 kids who've already worked on the mural, they should get that opportunity.
It's amazing how you're piecing this together. All right, let's take another picture. This is inside. This is what you're talking about.
Now, that's an illustration we did, because
Right.
obviously it's very, very difficult to describe
To get your head around it.
scale, and so we've done a lot of drawings. We've done all sorts of things to give people an idea of the scale of a human being to the mural itself.
All right, let's go inside.
And that's what it looks like today. We had a fundraiser in there in September, raised a lot of money, and that was the last event we'll have in there, because all those beams that you see are going to be removed and saved, because part of this is sustainability. So we want all these valuable materials to be saved, to be used in other ways as we renovate the building. And then we will go up, and we're going to go up 30 feet.
All
so
right,
that
so
roof's gonna go
let's
up.
start going up in the next. Now, this gives you an idea of what's going on here. There's a person on the ladder.
That would be me.
That's you, of course, and this is how huge this is, and all of this is coming from a whole bunch of different folks.
And these are all different sections of the mural, and this is in my studio in Sharon, and right now that studio has become very small, because as I stack more and more pieces, the room gets smaller and smaller. But I want to say that the studio is only 16 feet high. So even though you're looking at this jet engine, and we're putting this up at the Hartford Library, that was a couple years ago, we raised that up 20 feet. It's not even close. This is not even close.
How tall is this going to be?
That engine's going to be 30 feet in the air when it goes up, and there's all these other things below it.
All right, here's another photo.
Bob.
And how
Nice.
big is Bob?
Bob is probably one of the smaller guys on the mural. He's about 10 feet high, but he's on a beam that's very much higher. He's probably 40 feet in the air.
All right, what is this? Now you can see how tall this is by the people.
Melissa, my firefighter from Brooklyn. I just finished her a little bit ago, and these are all the people that help every single year. This is the most wonderful family, 3 generations. They come in, and they help us do all of our annual and membership mailings, and 3-4 of them sing while they do this. They are a cappella
You should
singing group.
record them, of
Oh, they're
course.
going to be at our next fundraiser.
that's
They
good.
are amazing. They are amazing.
Can you use more help? Can you always use more help?
Always. We can use every kind of help there is. And the reason this has worked, and people now say, I never thought you'd do this, but the reason this has worked is we have gotten help from every economic level. There is not anybody who doesn't give us $20, $50, right up to the governor.
Who has embraced it and is helping?
The governor, Governor Malloy, God love him, and Kathy, his wife, they came to the site, and you know, it's very hard. You explain something like this to somebody, anybody, and they go, good luck with that. And it's very hard to say, I believe you, I think this can happen. And for him to make that leap, and he looked at the plans, and he looked at our costs, and he said, it's possible she can do this, and let's challenge her. So he challenged us to, he said, I'll give you $1 million if you can raise $1.5 million. And that's basically what we did. And we had it started with Catherine Smith. You have to have Connecticut coming together and everybody. So when the commissioner says, we're with you, and the governor says, we're with you, and you get Senator Chris Murphy saying, he is absolutely behind this all the way. Congressman John Larson has been our angel. So we have people across the board who've come in and said, we've got to do this. This is going to be a wonderful thing for Connecticut.
Was there a point to which you said, finally, somebody gets what I'm trying to do here?
I think about 50 times I've said finally.
Yeah. Kinda pinch yourself?
Every time, people are always saying to me, hey, congratulations. And I go, it's not over. Because it isn't over.
Right.
You know, even now, we've just signed the contract to do this. We're going to start the building going up. After all of this, and we should all pat ourselves on the back, and you included, since we had
you're a
our
little
last
Spitfire,
interview.
and you're all of like 4 feet tall,
You said,
right?
I've got to help you. That's what people say.
Well,
they
it's
really
awesome.
want to be part of it.
We showed a picture just a moment ago. Tell me what this is.
That's the New York Times. I heard that they were closing down their presses in New York City. And this was way before the mural started. And I thought, I've got to go watch them print newspapers and do a painting. And I did.
How tall
and
was
that
this one?
painting is in the New York Times building out at LaGuardia. So if you ever go to the lobby,
how
you'll
proud
see it.
are you?
Yeah, I am proud. I'm very proud.
How tall is this?
That piece is probably about 12 feet.
How do you do that? How do you paint? Do you have to get down off the ladder and kind of look at it and go back? And
I think I was always supposed to paint billboards. You know,
Really?
and that's really I feel very free. When I get up there and I'm painting these large paintings, I'm feeling so liberated.
most people can't do that. Now we've got a doctor.
A doctor.
And this is you.
This is,
in the lab.
and there's a wiring girl in there. See, some of these things come into each other. So that's a Boeing wiring girl, Pamela, next to Mehmet Oz. So we've got a bunch of different. This is McKinley School and my teacher, Kathy Reddy, and I love this school.
And this is painted on what? And it gets mushed into the big mural?
Yeah, all these different, they're actually, they start at 4x8 aluminum panels, and I'm actually as much a carpenter as anything else. I do a lot of bolting and sawing, and
I don't know how you do that, but,
well,
but it all just is mushed together and it represents America.
Well, yeah, one hopes it's not mushing.
Well, that's my term.
There's an actual composition here, and it's got to work, because this is like if you took a still life, and you know Picasso's working on the still life, and he's putting the dove here, and the open window, and the palm tree out there.
Right.
There are compositional reasons for all those things. There's no difference here. When I'm taking these different pieces that kids have done or that I have done, they all work into one giant composition.
Well, that's why you're not asking me to do the composition part. All right.
Oh, this is Edwin.
Who is this?
This is my latest one. You can see me down at the very bottom, so that gives you, Edwin's 16 feet. Edwin Raymond was written up in the New York Times. He's a New York City policeman. He's Haitian, and he actually took the whole New York City Police Department. He sued them because of discrimination, and he won, and he was promoted, and it's a wonderful, happy story. But Edwin is a huge hero. And by the way, all these people, Melissa, Edwin, everyone you see there is going to come to Winstead and talk to kids. Because if you're trying to set up role models, there are no better people than the people I'm
We're a
painting.
land of immigrants.
Yes.
Yes, we are. This one?
That's back. I'm back in the studio, and
Okay.
behind me is Ken from Twin Arrow, who he's a steel guy. And that's Melissa again on the right. And this is a board meeting. See, when you come, when we have a board meeting, we always have it in my studio.
Lots of art.
Yes, I think it's important for people once a year to have the annual board meeting where they get to see the artwork.
All right, so here we are. It is February 2017. When is this done, do you think?
Oh, God, always the same question. Well, I can be a little clear. Having signed the contract last Friday, we are going. Now that means there's going to be very difficult demo work because we're saving all these materials, so we have to reinforce walls. It's going to take a little longer than it might normally, but we're still talking 12 to 18 months to raise that roof 30 feet.
That's like a second in all these years.
It'll be as big as the Parthenon in there, and then I get to get on my cherry picker and my lift, which I think if Terex is listening, we really need a lift so I can get up there 40 feet.
Yeah, we need a lift, okay.
But I think what we're looking at is people walking in the door spring 2018. It's pretty cool.
I can't wait. This is something else that Ellen has done. You made these porcelain plates, and this is a brush stroke on
They're
here.
hand done, and they are like...
And you auctioned these off.
Yes, and it was the most ridiculous thing I ever did because they're made out of porcelain, and I didn't realize I always go where I shouldn't go with materials, and porcelain's very hard to work with, and I found that out later.
All right, so as we wrap up, what kind of help do you need to get this done by 2018?
Well, I think we're making great progress on all fronts.
Money, volunteers.
Money obviously is huge, and the reason money is an unending. I'm going to die raising money, which is the last thing.
Don't say that, Ellen.
No. But the main thing is, once you get locked into this and you see what impact this has for kids when they're working on this, what a big deal this is, and especially now. You know, last year I was lucky enough to be invited to the White House, and I got to sit.
You just buried the lead, but go ahead.
Oh, all right.
You were invited to the White House, and then what happened?
And what happened, I was about as far from President Obama as I am from you. and from Secretary of Labor Perez, and from our Vice President at the time, Biden. And this is not political, by the way. I have no intention of going to anything political here, but just to say that what I heard in that long day at the White House was how important it is for us to start looking and saving the middle class. We are losing the middle class because we are forgetting how we should cherish American work in this country.
And how this country was built.
How this country was built. And lastly, we have to think in terms of inclusion. We have to think of everybody. We have to start talking, and we have to start being with each other. And I think that this is a great moment for the Mural Project to happen, to remind people who we are, you know, and how we can all appreciate and really cherish what we all do in our lives.
Ellen, thank you for your passion. We can't wait till this opens, and it will be another thing to put Connecticut on the map.
I hope so.
Thank you.
Spend all night kissing and the water's right here, then who else is missing? Got a little sidetracked if I'm so wishing I found the keys to the door, but it's also a metaphor. Things keep locked in the grocery store, but mine just the same time. Skip right ahead to the last ride. The harder we look, the less we can see. Don't you know, you know, you